Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode
203.
203. And I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les, and it is May the 4th,
May the
which
4th be with you.
Michael told me this is the first year he's ever heard that, and he thinks it's dumb.
I heard it last year at some point.
I've,
I know why.
I have no
Anyway,
opinion on it
continue.
whatsoever. If it makes you
T-Fury,
happy.
so I haunt T-Fury. It's where I get a lot of my cool T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And, people were so upset last year because they did not do a Star Wars T-shirt on May the 4th.
Do not anger the interwebs. Bad things will happen.
So, anyway, what you working on?
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll go first. I'm
Now
right
you
now.
have to.
I decided to take an extra big dose of Crazy Pill, and I'm casting on Viajante number 2.
Out of what?
Out of Volmiza in the Vamp colorway.
Ooh, that's pretty.
It's totally washing out, but it's a
You should totally add beads to the lace edging on that.
it's a very
So pretty.
blue red. I have a long time to worry about that. I just cast it on like 10 minutes ago. It's the Woolmiza lace. It's about 1,700 yards in the Vamp colorway.
That's pretty.
And I'm using US 4s, 3 point, I think they're 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 millimeter. These are the signature convertibles.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, I've just started. That
Cool.
little marker tells me it's increased side. And I'm doing this because I saw several at Maryland that I just really, really loved, and they were much larger than the one that I sort of half knit and then Gwen finished for me, which is more narrow because the yarn was a much lighter weight. It was more of a cobweb than a lace. So I wanted something that was a little fuller. And the directions basically have you knit this triangle until it's wide enough to go over your head, and then you join it in the round and do things. And I'm going to actually, instead of changing the rate of the increases, which according to Martina really affects the shape significantly, I'm going to just make it wider until it's like almost boat necky before I join it in the round. So that way
That sounds perfect.
it fits my wide shoulders better. We'll see if that works. So there's that, and then the only other thing I really worked on this week, it's in my works in progress, is the Little Liza Jane. Oh, there went my volume
I saw you working on that.
Yeah, I took this with me to Maryland, and it is a little dress. And it was in
Very cute.
Twist Collective in 2009. I think it was the spring edition. And I now have the 10 inches that are required before you start the cabling at the bodice.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of why I started the Viajante, because it requires 4/4 crosses, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do that. And actually, not so you'd see more than this part of me while we were recording. So I'll start on this later on this evening, and this is the side of it. That's why it's got 2 lace sections. I didn't make a huge error. I thought I had, but I didn't.
Is it both sides are like that?
Yes, it's all the way around.
Cute.
And these are on 5s, which I believe are 3.75. Yeah, 3.75 millimeters. Also signatures, but these are the fixed. So that's the only other, and this is out of Elizabeth of Old Empathy.
Cute.
In purple. Well, I guess you can tell that it's purple.
Are you magic looping that or just knitting in the round?
It's like a traveling loop, because my needles are a little bit too long. And not quite long enough for magic loop, so it's more of a traveling loop. So that's really all that I'm working on. What about you?
I am working back on my Huckleberry sock. It is out of Lollipop Yarns, and it is being knit on size 1, 2.25 needles. They are going to... I finished the first one a long time ago. I had started this on at Knitting Pipeline.
It wasn't a long time ago. It was a month and a half ago.
Yeah. And it was like March 17th, March 6th, 15th, I think is when I cast them on. So here's the first one. And they got set aside for a while. And now I am working on the second one. And it got a good bit of knitting this week because I was a hall monitor for a day for testing, and the rest of the time Tuesday through Thursday, I walked in circles for 3 hours. But it got a little bit of knitting done on it during that time. And then on the plane, I knit on it on the way there. So it was easy, and I was like squished between this big guy and the window. So this is how much I have left, and this is what it looks like in the ball.
Oh,
it's very nice. It's super squishy. It's a nice. I like her twist on her yarn, and I like the ply structure of her yarn. So it's a nice. It looks like it is a 4 ply. So it's nice and round with a fairly tight twist. So looking forward to these. I'm going to cut an afterthought heel on them, and I think I'm going to do like a hat head style heel on those, where it's like the decreases that you would do at the top of a hat.
Like the crown decreases?
Yeah. Yeah. That is in my knotted bag with the donkey.
Who we got to see briefly this weekend.
I don't think I saw her.
Yeah, you saw Diane. She was at the podcaster meetup.
Okay, the podcaster meetup for me was like a blur. I didn't realize that I was talking to Minerva Turkey until this morning.
She has purple hair. How can you not know?
I don't know. The sunglasses just threw me. So it just, whatever. And I was...
It was a busy day.
I was like this all day.
That is a fact.
That's how I roll. I just walk around like this. Wax on, wax off. Anyway, the other thing that I cast on is on May 1st, which was the day I flew to Maryland, Thursday night, I had a 2-hour delay before we left because the storms in Florida were so severe. There was a lot of flooding that happened in Florida, and it pushed back all the flights. So I cast on my lefty that I'm knitting for Mama Linneman for Mother's Day. And it's got, I'm like, let me show the right side. It's garter.
Yeah.
Oh my. So it's got these little leaves that are knit in a contrast color. And they're short rowed, which is really, really cool. And it's enough to keep me, like, I need to knit the next leaf. I need to knit the next leaf.
Yeah.
So I'm knitting these on size 3 needles, because I'm a horrible follower of rules. They're signature fixed, 3.25. I think she calls for like 2.5.
Yeah, I always go up when it's that small. It makes me feel better. Like Vigeance calls for a 2.25 or a 2.5 US, which I think is a 3mm needle, and it's like, no, it's not gonna happen.
I'm knitting this out of a set that Mama Linneman picked out at SSK 2013. It was one of her lefty sets. Miss Babs does some really cool lefty sets. You can see them on her website. And this one is Yummy, which is her 2-ply sock yarn. It's got a nice drape to it. It's very nice. It's 100% merino, superwash merino wool. And like I said earlier, it's a 2-ply. The gray is slate. And then the contrast color is zombie something.
It's pretty.
Which I think is funny, but I lost the tag. So it's zombie something. I thought I had it, but it was the other Miss Babs that I was working with last week. So, anyway. I really like it. I kind of wish there was a little bit more contrast. So there are sections of the contrast that go to gray for a little while. And they kind of, when I knit it up, Jane and Jessica say it's okay. So
I think it's just fine. It must be. I think that it coordinates.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a coordinate than a contrast. So there's points kind of like right there where you kind of lose
the contrast.
See what you're
talking about. I think overall it's very nice, though. I like the colors.
Yeah, I think she'll like it. So most people, it looked like online, that knit using the lefty kit that Miss Babs makes got like 27 leaves or something, and I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm about to start my 15th. Like, I'm ready to go on the contrast. Each little pattern repeat is 12 rows, and then short rowing within there. And I'm at the point where it's taking me around 30 minutes for an episode of Knit More Girls, roundabout.
There's tend to be
more like 45. Yeah. But I also had like my drink on the plane and my peanuts and my pretzels, so like 30. Because I was listening to them as I flew. So yeah, it's getting to that point where it's getting longer, and it's not going to be more of a portable project. It's going to be more of a, if I can knit on it one of these a night, I'll be happy. Get one leaf done a night. That would make me happy. It is living in my Tangerine Designs bag, which is perfect for this right now because I could set it on my armrest with the two skeins side by side and pull out of it on the plane. So, and this is one of my favorites of her bags. This is an older one. But that's the two projects that I have going right now. Do you have any finished objects?
I do, but why don't you go first?
Okay. So I did finish Tubularity. I finished it Tuesday. I finished it Monday, then blocked it Tuesday and Wednesday, and sewed on buttons Wednesday, and had buttons fall off on Wednesday night. And actually, no, I sewed on the buttons the wrong way. So, that's what it was. So, it's done. So this is the whole thing. When I bound it off, it was 44 inches, and it grew to around 48 and I didn't, like, block it, like, stretch it. I just wet it
out
and laid it down. I sewed on some metal buttons. I don't have any of them here. And then I actually had sewed them on because I thought they went, because I'm an idiot, I thought they went on the opposite side of the buttonhole so that you would button it like that. Okay, so it would go kind of like that. But no, they're on the same side as the buttonhole. So then I ripped those off, resewed them on this side, and then they were heavy metal buttons, so the weight of them actually pulled themselves out, even though I had put, like, sewed them on really strong, and it had ripped out the buttonhole completely, just from the weight. Because this is a really heavy, mine is around 300 grams finished.
So that's three pairs of socks worth.
Yeah, each of these is basically half a skein, maybe a little bit less. So it's a lot of weight, and so if I was to knit it again, I would add more buttonholes as I go, like every 6 inches, like 3 buttonholes every 6 inches. Just doing like a yarn over, knit 2 together type buttonhole, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, when I put it on, so my main way that I would like to wear this is to button this button through the hole. And then she has you, in the video, she's got a great video, she has you tuck this in. But what I would like to do is, if like I had a buttonhole here, I could button that there too. And then I could button it at the other buttonhole, and I could like kind of tuck it in so it's got more structure to it.
It's more secure. So
all the weight is not resting on one buttonhole. I also, like Leslie said, this was supposed to be knit on 2.25s, and I knit on 3s. So it's drapier, or it was supposed to be knit on 2s, I think. And I knit on 3s. So mine has a lot of drape to it, which I love drape, but it affected the structure. So it's not as firm.
Yeah.
So when you tuck it in, as one of my coworkers told me, it looks like I have a third boob. So that doesn't really... That's an awesome thing to have someone say to you at work. So I kind of like shove the part that's tucked in towards the back and kind of let it go down a little bit. You can also... She's got a great video of like all the ways that you can wear it. But for me, because I just wanted it mainly as a cowl, I think what I would do, and I'm thinking about knitting again with all Steelers colors, is I would stop at like 24 inches. Because it's still enough to pull it over my head and wear it that way, scrunched down. And it's still enough to wrap around as a cowl, but I wouldn't have all, like, I have, when I tuck it in, this much material from here to here is getting tucked inside the other tube.
Yeah.
So it's a good bit of material, and it's a good bit of knitting. So, and there's lots of ways you can wear it. Like, some people wear it, like, Biscuit Girl had it the other day, and it was super cute. She had it, like, is that my first button? Yeah. She kind of had it, like, tucked around like this.
Or it's almost like a shawlette.
Yeah. But I don't know. I can't style it to a way that makes it look good on me, I feel like.
It's a hard thing to wear if it's not, I don't know. I feel like I'm not cool enough to wear something so trendy, maybe, is what I'm trying to say. And so I have a hard time getting any advice.
It's better when it's like this, I think. Like when it's tucked in and kind of long, that's fine. Like, that's not bad. I don't know. Like, see, yeah, I could do that. I think that might be how it becomes worn more often, as a long cowl, with just that little bit tucked in. But if it was a long cowl on me, I should have made it longer. Like, it's an in-between size for me.
Yeah.
Because it's not, like, for me, because I'm so tall.
I just feel like you lose the modularity at
like
that
right
point.
there. Yeah. So, I also don't want to look like a hobo. So, there's that. Hobo is the word of the year with my 6th graders. They like to call everyone a hobo. So, I don't know where they got that from. I'm sorry that my cat's crying outside the door, but he's not coming in because he's being mean today. So, that is that. But it looks really good folded up. Look how pretty it looks folded up.
Oh, that just hurts.
It'll be alright. I'll find a way that I like wearing it. And it definitely does not look good with, like, a sweater on, because then it looks like it's too much knitwear going on.
It's too bulky, yeah.
But that's my finished object. My, my crazy tubularity is done. So, there you go.
Cool. Well, I only have one finished object this week. I finished it last night on the way back, and it is the Desert Vista Dye Works socks. I have no idea where my sock blockers have walked off to. Somewhere. Anyway, there are 2 of them.
I almost, like, went to grab one and hand to you.
So this is, there are 2, but I only have 1 blocker nearby. This is Desert Vista Dye Works in the Nashville Nights colorway.
I love how sparkly that is.
Yeah, I know. It's got the sparkles in the yarn. It's 5% stellina. And I did a Fish Lips Kiss Heel. They do not match. They are a little bit different. It doesn't bother me. I don't care.
I love to hear you say that, because 3 years ago that would have really bothered me.
Yeah, they're going to be put in
You're
shoes.
mellowing.
I don't care. I'm becoming
it's not a bad thing. I like
grumpy
mellowing.
old lady.
Kids, get off my lawn!
Seriously.
With your cane.
But so I finished these. I don't think I'm going to put any socks on the needles right now, just because I have the Viajante, the pattern I'm designing for Infinite Twist, and I still have, I still have Paula's shawl on the needles, and I have
Magic Cake Ruffle.
Yeah. And I have the Coop Knits hat on the needle, so that's enough for me for right now.
And you have the Wensleydale hat on the needles.
Yeah, I do.
And you have a linen sweater on the needle.
Would you just stop already?
And you have... I don't know.
I think that's it, honestly.
I think that's it, too.
And that's
You're set for Stash Dash, though, dude.
Seriously. That's a good idea. I'll wait to finish the linen sweater so I can put it in Stash Dash.
Your Viajantes, or however you say it, is going to get you, like, what, 1,700 yards?
1,700, yeah. Assuming
you finish it by August.
I would like to have it by SSK, but we'll see.
That'd be wonderful.
I do have some spinning. Do you have any spinning?
A little bit. I have some spindle spinning. It's
Okay.
not super exciting.
Well, mine's not super exciting either. I finished the second bobbin of the wound up fiber arcs.
Oh, I want to see.
Which, these are the bats. They're coming 4 individual bats. This is the second one. No.
Are you spinning it sock weight, or how are you spinning it?
The singles are probably about a fingering, so the finished yarn will be probably a worsted or a bulky, because I'm going to do a 4-ply.
Oh, that's right.
So, this is the second bobbin. The first one is somewhere. And I'll start on the third one this week. I sat and spun on the deck for a while this afternoon. It was nice.
Did you start spinning on your Acreworks bobbins?
I haven't yet.
That's my next bobbin. As soon as I get what's on my wheel on my lunge room done, which I've been working on some today, but it's not. I'll show it to you guys when it's finished. I'm gonna start working on the Acreworks bobbin.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
I'll probably spin something this week, like a thicker, happier. Just because this takes a week because it's thin. Whereas if I spin something thicker, I can do it in a couple nights. So.
Do you enjoy the process of spinning thicker versus thinner?
I have to think more.
With the thicker?
With thicker yarn than I do with thinner because my default tends to be a short backward draw into a lace or fingering single. Whereas I have to think when I'm spinning a thicker yarn, I have to think about slowing down my feet and speeding up my hands throughout the whole process. So I'm much happier with a finished big fat yarn than I am with a skinny yarn. They just look happier.
You like the appearance of the thicker yarns.
Yeah.
Better.
Okay. I enjoy the process for both.
I was just curious.
What about your spinning? You said you have some spindle spinning?
I do have some spindle spinning. So yesterday I bought 3 spindles. Don't judge me. And I
Space Junk bought more than you, so.
I know, she bought 4. And some bowls. So I didn't buy any bowls. But I started spinning. I got a second Bosworth. And I wonder if my first Bosworth's up there. No, it's in my bag. So I got a second Bosworth, and it looks like this. And don't ask me all about wood because I don't know.
It's pretty.
I have no idea. It is pretty, and that's all I care about. And it's got the maple shaft because I'm too cheap to pay for exotic wood shafts. And I started spinning some Hobbledehoy Ice Palace batlings because her batlings are, in my mind, like the perfect thing to spindle spin because they're 2.5 ounces, so I don't get bored. Or I wouldn't if I ever finished one. So, I really want to make an effort to try to spindle spin like 15 minutes a day. At least through till like August. So they're mainly white with pops of color in sari silk or something else. So they're really, really pretty. The composition is merino, tencel, soy silk, sari silk, sparkle, etc. And it's 2.5 ounces. They were $18. And I spun right around half of one, I would say, last night. Until my rotator cuff was like, stop now. So I really like how it's coming out. And it's coming out like not a lace weight, like a fingering weight single. So, I'm happy. I think this would be perfect to use for like a lefty, like the leaf section of a lefty maybe.
With the color variations.
Yeah. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm excited though. And I need to spin a little bit more often. So that is what I am spinning. I will even add that to the show notes. How about that?
That'd be nice.
We have a book review.
We do.
Which is super cool. It is Knits That Brief by Julie Churjoman.
That's a pretty good guess.
I'm going with that. It looks like this.
Yes. And we were sent this book to review just earlier this week, and I think it's really good timing for the warm summer that I think we're going to have.
Yeah. So it retails for as a Ravelry download for $18.95, or you can buy it off of Amazon. It was published by Passiflora Press, and Amazon's got hard copies for $17.90 right now, but they normally are $24.95. So, very cool.
So all of the knits in this book are designed to be light and breezy, things that you can wear in summer. She has a great fiber resource guide that gives you the advantages. Wow, I totally have to move Laura so you don't see her over the... She gives you a great fiber resource guide that talks about the advantages of bamboo versus silk versus tencel, etc., etc.
The only thing that I wish the fiber resource guide did is, like, on the first page, it's got the fiber listed, and on the tablet, you click to the second page, and it's not listed again, so I have to click back to see what they're talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
whereas if you were reading it in the hard book, you would be able to go
it would
across
be, you
the
could
page.
just follow right across. But for those of us who get the ebooks, I wish, like, when they did the ebook, they thought, oh, we need to fix that a little bit. And I don't know how you would do that without messing with the spacing on the chart. So when you read the introduction, she talks about, she kept going to knitting events, and people would say, I can't wear wool anymore because I'm going through menopause, or I moved to the south, or I've developed an allergy. And she wanted to create a book that helped to deal with all those problems and allowed you to knit things that were open and breezy and very summery and springy, in my opinion. So I'm not sure that you could layer a lot of them because they're very standalone pieces, if that makes sense.
Right. And they're meant to be very loose and drapey. So there's 12 patterns in the book, and one of my favorite patterns is actually the second one, and it's called Flutterby. And it's got 2 handkerchief sections on the sides. Let me pull up a better picture. Here we go. So it's lace weight, doubled, knit on larger needles.
So it's 7s and 8s.
Yes. And you can omit the neck detail if that part bothers you. I have got to move this so you guys can actually see. I'm sorry.
Here. Is it better on mine?
Yes.
A little bit.
And this is actually one I really want to knit. And like Laura said, I wouldn't layer on top. You definitely want to layer underneath, wear a tank or a cami or something.
I think on all of these, you want to wear a tank or a cami underneath.
Right.
For sure.
But like something like this could actually be worn at SSK because it's light.
Yeah.
And flowy.
I do want to say that I really like the styling of the photography in this book. I think that it does a great job of portraying the pieces, and everyone is wearing good foundation garments, whereas when there's a book like this where you can see through, it's a lot of lace patterns in here, because obviously that's open and airy and allows for draping. You want good foundation garments underneath, and they did a good job of doing that.
Yeah, and they're actually pretty good on sizing. I'm a bigger person, and so if it doesn't go into the high 40s or low 50s, then I really can't, as far as bust size, then I really can't knit things in the book. This particular pattern goes up to 51 inches. Most of the rest of them go into the high 50s for bust measurements. And it also tells you how much ease it's meant to be worn with, which is always helpful.
I like the iced frappuccino. That's probably my favorite pattern in the book, and I could see myself making that. It is sleeveless, lacy top. It goes from sizes 32 all the way up to 58. And it uses Collage Milky Way. I would have a hard time substituting yarn for this book because the yarns used in this book have a very specific fiber content. In the Collage Milky Way's case, it's 50% milk, 50% soy. And I don't know where else you would find that kind of ply structure with that fiber composition. So you'd pretty much want to stay with the yarns that they call for in the book, at least in my opinion. It does say crochet hook, which scares me. I'll have to read through the pattern. Although I did promise someone that I would crochet something in the next week. So I told her it might just be a chain, but I'd do something. It's really, really cute. And the schematics are nice and clear. So you can see all the numbers.
Yeah, all the measurements.
So, great job on the schematics. The charts are also nice and clear. The repeats are done in a thicker red line, so even if I printed this out in black and white, I could probably still see where the repeat was, or it would be easy to highlight for me.
Yeah. Like Laura says, I think that the fiber content of the yarn was paired well with the designs. It would be hard to substitute in a wool or really even 100% cotton for anything in this book. You really want to stick with something drapey or similar to the fabric composition of the yarns they designed with. I really like Haven, actually. It's got a very simple,
oh no, you froze
lace,
completely for
asymmetrical feature. Oh, well, you didn't for me. We're back. You're good.
Okay, I'm back. Like, it totally froze, and then it's like, do you want to turn your video off? Because your connection quality is poor. And I was like, no, I want my video. Thank you.
My son is probably downloading something. I'm sorry. But this particular pattern goes up to 4X, up to a 71-inch chest, which is very nice. It's hard to find things that go that high. And it's meant to be worn with up to 6 inches of positive ease. It's pretty shapeless. I won't sugarcoat that, but I do think that it would be a nice, summer piece. You just layer it over a tank or a cami, and then you're good to go.
Beck Gusler was just calling me. I declined her call, so I could stay on with you.
Beck.
I'm very popular. The pattern that I like next is the pouchette, which is the French word for little pocket, which I've totally destroyed. But I like I like the pocket detail, especially with the color. So I think that's very cool. It's out of Shibui, I think. Yeah, Shibui Linen, which our good friend Lynn is knitting a sweater out of right now.
A Hane sweater, yep.
I think this is a sweater that could work well for all ages, for the most part. It kind of can work. You can kind of dress it differently when you're younger, maybe change the sleeve length a little bit, and do it differently when you're more mature. So I think it definitely has the ability to be generational.
Yeah. Oh goodness, I just went all the way to the end. That's not helpful.
That's no good.
Is your video still on? Because I can't see you.
It is. That's not helpful if you can't see me.
Alright, we'll hang up and we'll call each other right back and continue.
Okay.
Alright, so we're back. Everything's good. Laura just talked about the pochette top, which I agree with her. It definitely could work for all ages. I do like that they did it in a colored block. I think that's a neat feature to do.
But if you wanted it more subtle, you could definitely do it all in one color.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I like the Serena. I don't know that I would do the detailing. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's a very simple lace pattern. And then at the bottom, there's some beading, which will give it a nice weight. I don't particularly like the edging very much. Just, I don't know, it's got a weird feel to it. So I'll probably substitute out just a straight hem. But aside from that, I really like a lot of things about this sweater. It's got a nice split sleeve. So it gives you...
I do like the sleeve. And the sleeve is, what do you call that one that's kind of like lower?
Dolman.
Yeah. Or it just seems like a little bit lower on the picture, like when you look at the sleeve.
Yeah, it's not.
With it being
it's not as fitted.
It's not fitted.
Yeah. And this one goes up to a 57 3/4 inch bust, and it's meant to be worn with, let's see, some amount of ease.
I think that's the best picture.
Yeah. I like the plainness, the simplicity of it. That's why, I guess maybe that's why I don't like the edging, just because it tends to fancy it up more than what I would probably wear it.
And you would, when you swatch for this, or when you knit the body length on this, and you are adding beads, because this is out of flaxen, which is a linen silk blend, plus with the beads, it's really going to have a lot of drape, and it's going to grow a lot.
Yeah.
So I would even maybe put, if you wanted to bead it, I would maybe put some beads on my swatch, if I swatched in the lace pattern, to see how much growth I'm really, and when I hang it up to dry, I
Yeah,
hang it
do
straight.
clothespins, yeah.
Yeah, clothespin it and really see how much that's going to grow, because that definitely has the potential of starting at your waist the first time you wear it, and by the end of the day, being down by your knees.
Yeah.
And silk's not going to bounce back. It's not like wool, and linen's not going to bounce back. The good news is it's going to get softer every single time you wear it.
That's true.
So that would be really nice.
I also like Still Waters, which is knit out of 100% linen. This one is actually knit out of a variegated color. It's solid in the front. And then, man, my camera does not want to focus today. It goes all the way up to a 4XL, up to a 59.5-inch chest. And it's got a nice sort of flirty lace back. So the whole back is in that lace panel.
Apparently, I'm just going to show you all every single picture of this.
It's hard. There's no full back shot, so it's a little bit harder to see. The pebble lace border. Actually, it looks like that's just on the edges, not all the way in the back. But I think that gives it a little interesting detail, which I always appreciate. And
I like... and I do want to make the comment that none of these yarns are really what I would consider inexpensive yarns. Like, that one's out of Claudia hand-painted linen, which I know is probably over $30 a skein. And for the smallest size, you're talking 3 skeins, and it's a hand-dyed, so you're going to have to alternate skeins. So you're talking minimum $90. And a lot of the yarns in here are not very inexpensive. They're definitely on the higher end. So just something to think about as well. And it's not a criticism, it's just...
an observation.
An observation, there you go. I like Splash, which is out of Webb's Valley Yarn Southwick, which is a Pima Cotton Bamboo blend. It's got a nice drapey front.
Yeah, and it's got 2 panels that you can clip together with your closure of choice.
Yeah, or you can just, I like it open like that.
Yeah.
And nice big sizing on that as well. That goes actually up to, from a 32 all the way up to a 59.5. Now that I've made it big, it wants to stay big.
Yeah, and in the back it's got very brief information about what the abbreviations used mean. You need to know how to knit to use this book. It doesn't have a section in the back that says this is how you do a knit stitch, this is how you do a purl stitch, which I do not consider detrimental. It tells you where you can find the yarns.
Definitely a pattern book, not a how-to book.
Right. And the author also published Brave New Knits a few years back. I knew she had published a book. I couldn't remember what it was. Again, it's by Julie Turjorman. I believe that the publishing company is her own. And
she's one of the Capboardy people.
She is.
So Capboardy, for those of you who don't know, she's got like this
Visionary Authors.
Yeah, and it's called the Visionary Authors. So she's one of the Visionary Authors. So that is Knits That Breathe, 12 breezy projects to keep you cool. And you can buy it in hardcover or paperback and hard copy, there we go, off of Amazon. Normally $24.95 right now, May 4th, 2014, it's $17.90. Or you can get it as a Ravelry download, which is the one that we reviewed, for $18.95. So, thank you, Julie, for sending that our way. I think it's perfect for the South.
I agree. And for summer in general. I think that with some mods, a lot of those pieces would work for me. I just have to put in the modifications that I would use. So,
I also wanted to say on that book, on the front of each pattern, there was a link to you could push on a link that took you to the Ravelry page for the pattern.
Yep.
Which was cool as well. So we have a question.
So a viewer question.
And it was asked by a bunch of viewers, so it might be one of you, but there were several people, and I've seen this pop up over and over and over again in the Maryland Sheep and Wool group, in some spinners group, in the Knitmore girls, because they're doing a spackle coming up, a spin along, knit along for a sweater, and just the how much do you need to do something kind of question to spin. So when you are spinning for a larger project that, or even a smaller project, if you can, you want to sample a similar fiber before you go to make your purchase, so you can kind of get a guesstimate of how many yards you're getting per gram on average. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if you can sample, like if you know that you want to buy, let's say a Cordale fleece. Let's just say that as an example. Fleeces differ from prepared fiber because you're going to lose a lot of waste. So if I was going to buy for a sweater for me, and I knew that I wanted to make it a fingering weight, I know from past experience, Cordale fingering weight, I can get around 400 yards out of 4 ounces. And if it was like a sweater that needed 1,500 yards, then I would get, let's see, at least, and maybe a little bit extra for sampling.
Yeah, well, and a little bit extra if you're buying a fleece just for waste.
Yes.
Because you lose weight in shortcuts or veg matter or things like that.
And just lanolin. So you're going to lose, depending on the fleece, around half. But for prepared fiber, you can even ask if the person, if you're going to special order from someone like on Etsy, you can ask if they, you're buying something else, if they have a little sample. Because sometimes they'll have like a couple grams.
Yeah.
Because it didn't, when they pulled apart to dye other fiber, or they might give samples. Like Loop Bats, she gives a lot of samples.
Yeah.
When you order from her, so you could use one of those samples to sample, meaning test spin and see what kind of yardage you're getting per gram. So, just some things to think about.
So
there's no
hard and fast rule. You need to do a little bit of. It's kind of like the dreaded swatch. Like, you need to do a little bit of homework and spin out your sample scheme and say for a half an ounce, or what is that, roughly like 12.5 grams, something like that. Mm-hmm. Once you've spun it, then you need to measure out the yardage, and then you can do some very simple math that even I can do without getting too intimidated, and get an idea of how much fiber you need. Like, I can't tell you that if you want to knit a sweater, you need at least a pound of fleece or a pound of fiber or 2 pounds or whatever. It's
because how many plies you add and the weight that you're spinning at. Like, you would need a lot more for a worsted weight sweater than you would need probably for a fingering weight sweater.
Yeah.
So you want to sample and kind of get an idea of what you want. Does that make sense?
It does. It does to me. I hope it makes sense to the people that asked the question. Sorry that we can't give you an easy answer, but it wouldn't be right if we did, so.
So that is our viewer question of the week. We have a giveaway, which is the Storied Yarns giveaway, which is this lovely sport weight, the FL sport weight, and I didn't realize she was no longer dying, which makes me sad. So this might be one of the last skeins that you can find of Jess's fiber or yarn.
And that's too bad. I like her stuff.
I love her stuff, and luckily I have several skeins in the stash to get me through.
I think I have 2. Okay, so we had how many entries?
Hold on, let me pull up. I have it up on the other computer, not on this computer.
Laura will hold on to that old Mac with her cold, dead hands.
I love my Mac. Hope you froze again on me, dear. We had 271.
Okay. Oops, that's not a 1. Alright, so between 2 and 271, I'll hit generate. The number is 204, which I believe will be on the 9th page.
204 is Mary OSU, who says she uses safety pins. I'm not quite certain for what. Probably stitch markers.
I would guess.
So Mary, I'm guessing it's Mary. Let's see. Yes, Mary from Ohio. Mary OSU. Ha ha ha. Ohio State University.
Ah,
If
clever, clever.
you would send me, Lala, a PM, I will get this lovely skein of yarn out to you this week.
Cool.
So, and I didn't even ask you if you had a giveaway for this week. So we'll skip this week and we'll come back and we'll have something awesome
good.
and new next week. Other things, we have a coupon code going on for Two Guys Yarn Company. It's still good towards the end of this month.
27th or 28th of May. Mm-hmm.
Yep, it is 20% off and is TheKnitGirlls 20. So y'all should check that out.
Mm-hmm. And that's Jean and David over at Two Guys Yarn Company.
Yep, they have some lovely solids. We have Stash Dash coming up. Stash Dash starts the Friday before Labor Day.
Memorial Day.
Or Memorial Day, and goes through a little bit into August. I think I said it August 8th because I do what I want. It is a 5K.
Yes.
So your goal is to spin or knit or weave or utilize in some way.
Create and or use the equivalent of 5,000 meters of yarn.
Yep. And the good news is that you can be prepping for Stash Dash right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because anything that you bind off, even if it was a work in progress, prior to, I think it's May 23rd is when it starts, you can use that in Stash Dash to count for yardage.
We were just talking about this before we started recording. If I finish my linen sweater, then I could count that for Stash Dash. Or wait, we were recording at that point, I think.
We were recording.
Anyway, so I could count all the yardage from the past year it's taken me to knit it once I bound it off.
So you could be working on that. You can be going through your works in progress and looking at those and saying, should I finish this? Should I frog it? How much do I have in it? How much do I have to go?
Mm-hmm.
You could be looking through your stash and actually I have some of those over there, some gathering up patterns with projects and putting those together and figuring out yardage. So then when you go to post it as finished, you knew, or even start it, you have that, your 5,000 yards kind of put together. Once something enters your house, it is stash. So we highly encourage you to participate in other knit-alongs.
Yeah, we're very cheater friendly. You can double, triple, quadruple dip with anybody else's event. Doesn't bother us a bit. The only thing is you have to be willing to post pictures in the thread.
And I am planning on doing Camp Loopy again, so I will be able to count my Camp Loopy yardage, which last year I think it was around almost 2,000 yards towards Stash Dash as well. Mm-hmm. So we encourage y'all to participate in, and you're welcome even if you know that you do not have 5,000 yards in your stash, or you know that that is an unachievable, or you think that that's an unachievable goal. We encourage you to participate. We love seeing the photos. Everyone starts like one post and then they post their photos as they go. Mm-hmm. They edit that post. So it's a really neat way to see all this very inspiring knit and spinning and weaving going on, which is why I love doing Stash Dash and will continue doing Stash Dash.
Yeah, so it's a good motivator, I think, to try to hit that goal for people who are goal-oriented. I think it's a cool motivator.
What else? We have SSK spots opening May 7th, just a reminder on that. We also have a knit-along going on in the SSK group for charity.
Charity hats, yep.
And all that information is over there. And we're going to start a second knit-along, so there'll be two going on at the same time. Probably towards the end of May, if I can get my act together. This time of year is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So this week I am doing algebra state testing. I am speaking to all the incoming 6th graders about summer reading, and I have a summer reading list, which I can, if people are interested, I can also share that on the Ravelry group as well, what our summer reading list is for incoming 6th graders. So or I can you can PM me and I can send it to you. Do what?
What are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? I am on a steampunk kick. Mel Jean Brooke has uh what is that called? A serial where she's updating every week, called The Kraken King. But I've read all the rest of her steampunk books and really enjoyed it. So I am making do with only getting like 30 pages a week. It's kind of killing me.
So it takes
I
you
read
5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, it takes me no time at all. And she's divided it into like 14 parts or something crazy.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be a long... I just have to remember what's going on.
Yeah.
I also downloaded like this steampunk book that's I'll have to look up the name of it. I just started it this morning when I was waiting in the airport. I downloaded a sample once before, and I was like, yeah, I need to remember that when I'm in a steampunk mood. It is Sherlock Holmes's niece, and it's an adult book, and she solves steampunk mysteries. It's very interesting, and she's kind of like, she's Sherlock Holmes's niece, but also her father was like involved in the circus in some way, so she's like between worlds. So, and then there's this whole steampunk element coming in. So I'm not completely sold on it yet, but I'm like 4 chapters in. So I will let you guys know how that is. What are you reading right now?
I'm on the last book of the Mistborn trilogy, which is by the Steelheart guy.
Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson, yes. That's what I'm reading. What I'm listening to on Audible is I listened to The Shining so that I could listen to Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
Which is not good for me actually getting sleep.
Yeah, definitely not. None of these are kids' books that we're talking about today.
Yeah. The Mistborn trilogy would be fine for kids to read. Like, there's no sex or really gratuitous. Well, that's not true. There is violence in it, but it's very kind of meaty and political. I just don't think kids would enjoy it as much. And then The Shining and Dr. Sleep are not children's books at all. I think I have 3 hours left of The Shining to listen to. And I don't know what I'm going to listen to after that. But anyway, like Laura said, we have some SSK spots opening up this week on the 7th. All that is in the SSK thread. Assuming that we still have spots open after that, we'll post in that group if we're going to be able to open anything up to the public. So just keep an eye out there.
There you go.
Laura and I got some fleeces at Maryland.
We did. We were wool pigs. We got a lot of wool. I only purchased one skein of yarn, and did you purchase some for weaving?
I did.
From Into the Worlds. But we mainly got
fleeces.
Yeah. And spinning items.
And I spent part of the afternoon this morning, this afternoon, dividing the fleeces so that I could send Laura half of each one.
So at Maryland, there is a big barn. It's a separate barn now. And it is just all these people bring fleeces and these farms. And all of them are for sale. And some they put in the show to be judged. And those ones are more at a higher premium. Mm-hmm. Like your cost per pound is much higher. They are done cost per pound. They've all been skirted. They are marked whether or not they're coated or uncoated, and you can just look at them and say, oh, that's got some veg matter to it.
So we're going to break it down here for a second. So skirted means that after the sheep has had the wool sheared, it's laid out and they cut away anything that's too poopy or got too much thick veg matter in it. And then
they also pick out shortcuts, or they're supposed to.
Right. And coated means that the sheep literally had on a coat or jacket or like blanket covering.
Fat men in little coats.
Yeah, so that their fleece didn't get as burrs and leaves and sticks and
stuff. And a lot
of
times, sheep when they eat, they toss hay back over their head, and that hits the coat then, and not the actual fleece.
And your coated fleeces are, the nicer the fleece, the more it's going to cost. There was a lady behind us in line who picked out an absolutely beautiful white and silver merino fleece that was $60 a pound, and there were 9 pounds of it.
It was like best in show or something.
Yeah, it
had won a big name prize or first. They had a ribbon.
beautiful. Yeah. But yeah, I'll show you samples from those. Probably not this week, next week, because they're all upstairs.
So the types of fleeces we got Cormo, which is a very fine fleece.
Mm-hmm.
It was like all of them were coated,
mm-hmm.
and Jessica found that, and that was like a pure white for the most part. I picked out a Cordell fleece,
which is a very dark brown. Naturally.
Yes, it is, and I didn't realize that when we got to the cars later, we opened the bags, and I didn't realize there was additional paperwork in the bags because this was our first time doing it.
Yeah.
And it said not to be judged. And so I opened that paper and it said cannot be judged from the farm of such and such judge.
Yeah, it was one of the judge's own sheep.
Yeah, so it was one of the judge's own yearling sheep. So it's just a gorgeous, the Cordell is my favorite. That's the one I picked out. And then Leslie picked out
Romney as we were waiting in line.
Because it was a long line.
We waited for probably 45 minutes. And so you're in between these tables full of fleeces. So you happen to look at them as you walk by. And so we found this
clever
Romney that was kind of a 3-color, and it's all naturally colored, but it's like a gray, and then there's some sort of fawnish brown, and then there's more of the natural beigey color, and they're all in this one fleece. So I made sure that when I split that, I kind of split the colors evenly.
Oh, cool.
So they're all very lanolin-y, like they're all very sticky with lanolin, which will come out when we process them.
And I'll try to get Mom to come over and maybe get a video of how, when they get here, processing.
Yeah, I was going to try to do that as well. Maybe pictures or a video I haven't figured out yet. And then we should
put that picture of us with the fleeces at Maryland's at the end of the episode. I'm giving you more work to do. We could just put it on the blog.
Yeah, you really are giving me more work to do.
I'll just put it on the blog. How about that?
And I would actually like to spin one of these fleeces for the Knitmore Girls are doing their Spin Along Knit Along again this year. They're speckled. And the two sort of standard patterns that they've chosen are both free patterns by Tin Can Knits. One is the Flax Pullover and one is the Harvest Cardigan, and they're both part of the Simple collection, which is a whole free pattern collection by Tin Can Knits. So I may do the Harvest Cardigan. I don't know. I would like to. It would be nice.
I would like to do the Harvest. I would like to spin for the Harvest Cardigan. Yeah. I'm not going to spin a fleece for it. I have... Here, you talk for a second. I'll show you all what I have.
Okay. So that's part of the Knitmore Girls podcast is an audio podcast. So if you haven't listened to them, you should. They're just full of information. It's a mother and daughter podcast, and I always learn something. Sometimes it's a fun German word, but you always learn something. Oh my goodness, what is that?
So, Hello Yarn did some sweater quantities earlier in the year. I don't know that I showed you this.
I don't think you did.
And I got BFL wool top. I happened to snag one.
Pretty.
And it was right after I visited you at Christmas.
I think I looked and there were patchwork kits in that update too.
Yes, and you were going for the patchwork update. It is 100% BFL wool top. It's 1 pound, 7 ounces. So I don't know that this will be enough. Because that is a worsted weight sweater pattern.
You could do short sleeve Harvest.
Yeah, I only do 3/4 sleeves now. So I say that, but you want to see something hilarious? I'm totally digressing.
Always.
So I reblocked out the cardigan, and I have markers in. So I put it on, and Mom put markers where the buttons are gonna go.
Yep.
And we used a combination of, I had 2 safety pin markers and then yarn markers, which are just pieces of yarn put through. But when I blocked it, the sleeves got like...
oh my gosh.
super long. So that's them rolled. So when it's on now, and look, the neckline reopened up a little bit. But that's okay. Like, that's much better than what it was. So, but they're like...
wow.
Like, unrolled. They're like that.
That's a long arm, baby.
So, Mantosh Vintage, the yarn that just keeps growing and growing and growing. But once I put it on correctly, and once there's, like, it's bright enough in the back, it's also 83 in my house, no air conditioning until June.
We've had windows open here.
Yeah, I have windows open. I have ceiling fans going. And I have my new door on the front door, so that's pretty awesome. So, yep, that's what it's gonna look like, and then once it's buttoned, those markers are where the buttons go. So,
pretty cool.
Because, like, you can... Anyway, so that's why I only want 3. And I shove up my sleeves anyways.
Yeah.
So I don't need longer sleeves. But this was a good, good experiment in long sleeves for me. So anyway, that's been sitting on the back of the chair. And it's going to get moved before Humberto is allowed in this room, because he is a mean, mean cat who likes to sharpen his claws on the back of my chair. Did you see anything interesting while I was gone? What were you talking about?
I was talking about how every time I listen to the Knitmore Girls, I learn something, and sometimes it's a weird German word, but I always learn something.
That's fun. And they were so sweet. They talked about us a couple episodes ago.
They're good people. We met them briefly at Camp Kip, which was forever ago. But we happen to live on the wrong side of the coast to actually get to hang out. So
that's true. So they have a cool spin-along, knit-along that they are doing for Tour de Fleece. So if y'all are interested in doing something along those lines, I would definitely check out the Knitmore Girls.
And they are very cheater-friendly, too. Like,
you can start spinning now.
Yeah, it doesn't technically start until Tour de Fleece starts, but if you wanted to go ahead and start spinning now, they don't care. So,
yep. I got resorted for the Harry Potter Knit and Crochet House Cup. I am with Slytherin right now. I asked to be moved from Gryffindor. Not just... That makes it sound so terrible. I wanted to... I was kind of getting into a rut. Like, I wasn't really being chatty on the boards. I was just like, here's my one project. Here's my one project. And I felt like I was getting into a rut. And I was like, how could I break up the rut? And the fact that I keep failing owls. And so I decided owls, for those of you not involved or have never heard of Harry Potter, is like a big project that takes 3 months. And I've attempted them several times and failed every single time.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so this time, there's a owl for potions, which is take more than 2 pounds of fleece and skirt it and wash it and process it and then spin at least 4 ounces of it. And so I really want to do that, so I am going to propose that owl. Yeah, I failed owls 3 times in the past.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I always try to do it in the summer because I think I have all this time. And then we have SSK, and I really don't have...
travel, and
as much. Yeah, I travel a lot in the summer. I don't have as much. And I've always done, like... Well, I did socks one year, but I've always tried to do, like, spinning owls. But my problem is I just don't say, here's... You know, this is the minimum that they say. I can do this minimum. Like, that is a good thing. I keep feeling like, well, they won't accept it. I need to add more to it. Which is stupid, because when you propose an owl, it's a conversation between you and the person. They can say no, and you just resubmit. It's not a big deal, but I feel like I have, like, these grandiose plans, because y'all know me, I always have grandiose plans. And then it's like...
I mean, like, you travel a lot in the summer. You can't really travel with the wheel. You can with the mini spinner, but still a lot of your time is just eaten up. You just you don't have as much time as you think you do. So. And
this summer I'm home more, so I am going to try the fleece one. But obviously I can't, like, carry a fleece with me to process.
Right.
So it's definitely me being home, and it talks about other considerations when you propose an owl. But anyway, I'm really enjoying being in Slytherin. It's a nice change, although I do miss a lot of my Gryffindor buddies, but I see them on the board, so...
You're allowed to talk to them, right?
Like, I am. I'm totally... I can team up with them to do things.
I have in my head right now, I've got Snape, Severus Snape, but little...
Dumbledore!
Yeah.
We're doing Harry Potter. If you have not seen, there is a video called Harry Potter. I'm
like
putting
the
it right now.
Or something?
Harry Potter Puppet Pals.
Yeah.
And there is one called The Mysterious Ticking Noise. I am writing in the show notes before I forget. And it is hilarious. If you are a Harry Potter fan at all, that is my favorite, and I highly recommend that you check out that video. It's just so funny. Maryland Sheep Bowl!
Yes. It was fun.
It was so much fun.
Both Laura and I only went on Saturday. Laura had to catch a plane really early on Sunday, and my traveling companion ended up not really feeling well Saturday evening, so we just went ahead and drove home that night.
And that's why we're recording this way versus together, because we had the best of intentions of recording together, but Leslie had to go because
life happens.
People not feeling well. It's no fun when people aren't feeling well. So some cool things about Maryland Sheep and Wool. We got to meet tons of y'all. Yeah. So many of y'all that I cannot remember. This lady scared the bejesus out of Leslie.
Oh my God, Shirley was her name. I can't remember her Rav name, but holy crap, we were walking through a building, the main exhibition hall, and I don't remember if she said hey or Leslie or something, but I think it was Boo. She just scared the crap out of me, but she was very nice, you know.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
We got to chat with a bunch of people at the podcaster meetup.
I met a lovely lady who told me about her granddaughter who's 13 who watches the show, and I cannot remember her name, but she was super sweet.
And then I kept oogling the Two Tangled Skeins girl, and I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, but she has this...
The hand.
Beautiful Viajange that she was wearing that had several colors in it and some added lace rows in it, and I just kept going and telling her how much I loved it.
So I saw several sweater patterns that were just stunning on different people. The Neighborhood Fiber Company, I'm totally going to pull it up because I added them to my queue. Because you know I did. The Neighborhood Fiber Company lady had... Let me go to my last page. Oh my goodness, I have 33 pages in my queue. What is wrong with me?
Not surprised at all.
So this looks terrible not terrible, I shouldn't say that. So she had this on, but it wasn't that color. So it was a Neighborhood Fiber. That's Monomania by Ann Weaver. But she had on, let me see, she does kits. And hers was just absolutely, and she was a bigger girl. But it was just absolutely stunning. Like, when you see it, this is definitely something that you would play with color, but here's someone's project.
That's pretty.
Like, there's so many pretty ones. So the colorway that she had, the color palette, I found the color palette, but I couldn't find hers. Is she had one that was... And it looked so, like, she's a bigger girl. She's got curves. It was those colors.
Pretty.
And it was just absolutely stunning. So, there were a lot of knitwear. There was a lot of knitwear. Not as much as Rhinebeck, but there was a ton of knitwear being displayed. So that was one of my top things that I saw. What else did you see that you really liked? Was there anything else that really caught your fancy?
I probably spent as much on food as I did on fiber. Because it's like a carnival, and so you can get crazy stuff like ribbon chips, which I love, and a lamb sausage, or a cherry-dipped ice cream cone. You know, it's all fair food, and I paid for it, but it was good. And it was just nice to sit and hang out with so many people, so...
Yeah.
I just like wandering and hanging out. I got to, sit and chat with Gail's art for a while.
Yeah, definitely.
With Chris and James of Into the World.
I saw Steph of Loop.
Yeah, briefly I saw her. Her booth was mobbed. Miss Babs, we got to chat with for a while.
Yeah.
Jenny the Potter, we were in her booth for a little bit. So, it was just nice. Laura and I will show you our stuff over the next couple episodes. This one is already like an hour long, so we'll save those for future episodes.
Yeah, and I'll show you the other cardigan that I saw that was absolutely gorgeous.
Pretty.
Was that one, and that is Carabe. I should link these in the show notes, by Justina Lurkowski, or Alita's Knits. But one of the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary girls was wearing that, and it looked, and she had it on in like an extra large. Oh, look at this red one. And this is out of I just hit the wrong button.
Pretty.
Malabrigo Rios.
Yeah, I like
but
that.
I just love that. So anyway, lots of pretty knitwear being displayed as well. Jane and Jessica and I were talking, and one of our favorite things about Maryland Sheep and Wool is just sitting around and discussing things in person, like how much yardage do you need for something, or why would you spin this way versus that way, and going into like the award winners area and reading the comments that people have written on the like spinning projects and knitting projects, like this needs more twist, and it helps us grow as spinners and artists as well. So just the sharing of and melding of ideas and seeing all kinds of cool things. We got to see Shannon Oki of Cooperative Press and Hobbledehoy and just so Ross Farms, just so many cool things. Space Junk.
Yeah, we had to chat with her.
And her millions of spindles. Dorian. Just lots and lots of fun people. I find Maryland Sheep and Wool like a super energizing, refreshing experience because everyone's so nice. And it spawns my creativity. Like, I got home from the airport at 11 o'clock this morning and I immediately pulled out my wheel and started spinning. Because that's what I felt like doing after being on a plane and knitting for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it definitely recharges my creative battery. But anyway, we are done.
Yeah, I am. I am very done. I put sunscreen on twice, believe it or not, but I missed a spot. So this whole spot of me is red, and right there, and right there. But
it's very sexy.
It's just, when that happens, and I walked a whole lot on Saturday, more than I usually do in a day. So
Jess had her Fitbit on, and we did 10,000 steps.
I would have guessed more than that.
I'm sure, like, you might have, because you weren't with us the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, you did at least 10,000 steps.
Yeah, I just, like, my body it wants me to go to sleep right now. So, anyhow, we hope you guys have a great week. We'll actually show you the stuff we bought at Maryland maybe next week, and the following week we don't want it to be 20 minutes of, look at this,
weeks.
So
yeah.
We'll break it up over the next few weeks, and we hope you guys have a good one. Next Sunday is Mother's Day. So make sure that you send your mom a card or
and I'll be in New Orleans, so we will be recording late next week.
Okay.
So I won't be home till Monday night at the earliest.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I'm out of town, yeah. Yep, craziness. Crazy spring.
You're just so important. I don't know what to do.
I get to meet Jeff Kinney. Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Oh, cool.
So
that's cool.
I'm excited. Yeah, and millions of other authors. And I'll show you all some signed books, too.
Cool.
Very fun.
All right. Well, y'all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you again a little bit late next week.
All right. Bye, y'all.